L'chaim. Ramchal's yortzeit always comes out Parshas Bechukosai. That's like what to look into. You know, there's certain irony in Parshas Bechukosai that perhaps reflects the irony that is the Ramchal. Right? Sefer Vayikra opens up Vayikra Hashem El Moshe. Right? So Rashi says Lashon Chiba, Lashon of love, connection. Lashon Shemach Hashemah, and he says by Umas Ha'olam it's not that way. It says Vayakar Elokim Lebilam, Lashon Keri, Lashon Tuma, right? All right, it's Lashon Rashi, and that's what Bechukosai is. The art is Parshas Sefer Vayikra, which is all about Chibur, Chiba. And it says Keri. It's one of the big words that comes up over and over this week's parsha. So you'll im telchim mikeri then chamas keri. So I'm going to respond with the chamas keri and give you 7 times worse. And if you go bekeri, right? That Vayikra Rashi at the beginning of the Sefer set it up as the opposite of keri. Yeah, and that's what Sefer Vayikra is about. And yet it ends with Parshas Bechukosai, which is all about the tochacha, which is all B'loshin Keri. Right? That's like the worst thing. Like if you go with HaKadosh Baruch Hu as if it's a mikra, it's a coincidence. Okay, so I'll make you really regret that. Right? So that's the irony of that. Sefer Vayikra ends off with the parsha. It's all talking about Keri, right? But the vort is like this. Right in the middle of the tocha. The tocha's not over yet. V'zacharti es brisi Yaakov, afes brisi Yitzchak, afes brisi Avram, Eskor, Voretz, Eskor. Right? I remember the bris of Yaakov, and Yaakov is spelled full with a vav, which generally is not spelled that way. But Yaakov, and so Rashi over there comments that Yaakov took a vav from Eliyahu. 6 times we find in Tanakh Yaakov spelled Mole, and 6 times Eliyahu spelled Eliyah Chaser. Yaakov took the vav as a mashkom from Eliyah. You have to redeem my children. All right. So the pshat is like the Ramchal himself explains in his Megillah story on Chumash, right, that the Indian of the vav, the kaidu in the name Yud K Vav K. Yud is Avram Avinu, Hey is Yitzchak Avinu, Vav is Yaakov Avinu, the final Hey is David HaMelech. All right, and of course vav is spelled vav. If you want to spell the word vav, Vav or Vav Yud Vav, Vav Aleph Vav, right? That refers to Yosef, right? Ela Tolas Yaakov Yosef. So, like Rashi brings, Yosef, everything happened to Yaakov happened to Yosef, and Yosef was Zivi Kunim, Ki Ben Skuno Zivi Kunim. Mamash reflected Yaakov Avinu. Yosef was like a extension of Yaakov Avinu. That's why Yosef is also b'madregas Av. He's not a regular Shevet, because Ephraim and Menashe got a din of Shvatim. That's what Yaakovinu says. Ephraim and Menashe, Reuven, Shimon, Yuli, they got as if Yosef is an Av, because his own kids are Shvatim in their own rights. They're not like parts of Shvatim, right? That Yaakovinu, as it were, extends himself in Yosef. Yosef is like an Av amongst Shvatim, right? And that's all connected to the letter Vav. Right? And actually, I said this at Tzvi's house, who was sponsoring this Yortzeit Surah for the Ramchal. So he said in the Maimer, we said in Tzvi's house by the Yortzeit of his father, that the end of Yosef HaTzadik was to make a connection to the Avos. He is the bridge between Avos and Shvatim. Right? And the real test of connection, is when you're in a situation of seemingly disconnect, and you still remain connected despite all that. That's the real test of connection. That you're far away and you're, as it were, in a faraway place, disconnected, and to retain a connection even there. That's the proof of the strength of the connection. That's how you prove the strength of the connection and put it in a challenging situation. Like Yosef HaTzadik in his time, right, was sent away from the Yaakov Avinu and the family in Eretz Yisrael, and went down to Mitzrayim. And says the Ari, a very interesting thing, right? it says we're talking about Yosef's nisoyon with Eshes Potiphar. It opens up the Yosef haya yefei toar v'yefei mare. So says the Ari, yefei toar v'yefei mare is Rashi Tevis yatom, orphan. Right? Right, that Yosef Atzad was a spiritual orphan. Lo mibaya that his mother died, but he was far away from his father. Right? So al Pisod they explain that the midah of bina, which is above the midas, extends up to hod. Yesod and Malchus, the low midas, don't feel the hashpah of bina. They don't feel the hashpah of the mother. These are lower midas. They're mamish like in the dark. They're orphaned. The Chachma and Bina, which are called Abanim, are not, don't shine down there. It's that far low. It's that far away. Right? And Yosef Atzadik, despite the fact that he's in Mitzrayim, Erev Asar, it's far away from the Kedusha. So the reason why he wasn't Nechshal is they saw Dmus Aviv B'chalon. Right? He saw like the image of Yaakov Avinu in the window. Right? And that helped him, that helped him overcome his. He felt the connection, despite the fact being in a faraway place.
He's looking at himself.
Right?
He looked like his father.
Yeah. No, fine, but he found the connection.
They have no breath.
Right? I can't help. It's after a few bottles of hard cider. My daughter learns studies in TAG. Had a do not watch television challenge for 2 months, right? And at the end, they made a siyum for all the girls. They did the sign of not watching television for 2 months. So she was appointed to speak. She had to say Dvar Torah. It came out, there in one of these parshas that has to do with Yosef. So she asked me for Dvar Torah to say at her not watching television, siyum. Right, which Mars was the siyum, because after that they went back to watching, right, right. So I said, look, you say you're a remiss to television minat Torah. Yosef saw his father's face b'chalom, right in the window. He saw, right. Television could be used for good things. Right. Right. Fortunately, she the teachers took it in good stead.
To follow politics.
Right, yeah. Rav, I'll be bachalon, and that saved him. Son saw him on television, right? It saved him from these signs. All right, but anyway, that's it. That's Riyah Merachok, right? And that's what the Torah is saying. What? Bachalon. When did the Phoenicians invent glass? I don't know.
I don't think they put glass in the windows. Even the time of the Gemara, they didn't talk about glass in the windows. They used to cover up the windows.
They had clay schuches.
They had clay schuches, but I don't know if they put. The schuches was even clear. They used to remove it.
What in the table? Was there a window in the table? Either it was a stone or there was a window.
The window would be a hole.
It was open. Yeah, it was a hole.
So that was an open.
I don't know what it works.
It's
down low.
Yeah, that's the way they used to do it in the time of the Gemara. They had something hanging on a hook.
Right.
And they just hung it up at the window and closed it up. Like
the window was just an opening in time.
Like a door. But they didn't have it on hinges for some reason. I don't understand that. They had it hanging. Shabbos, they have all the halakas.
Yeah.
It's sitting on the floor. You can't put it in the window, but it's like hooked up.
Did Yosef know that? Did Yosef always feel like he was still connected, but did he always feel like he was still accepted by his family, or was he felt like he was like comparing a little bit?
No, so that was the whole thing with getting back together with the brothers. It didn't go direct. There was a whole process. He felt alienated.
He felt alienated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, so that just strengthens the vort that Yosef feels a connection, despite.
But he didn't know why his father. You see, there's one fact that he didn't know that we all know.
Yeah.
This story. He didn't know that his brothers dipped his son's passing in blood, brought it back to the father, and told him, right.
Right.
So he couldn't believe that his father wasn't looking for him, according to this guy. Didn't know him. Didn't know him. It's a guy who writes interprets the Chumash. So
Uh-huh.
he made a whole thing how.
How did you know his father wasn't looking for him though?
Because he didn't find anybody searching him. He figured she's looking for him. So, and he didn't know his father thought he was dead. He knew he sold as a slave. So he sold as a slave to.
Right. So
You know that, Foreman, David Foreman,
I know we never saw it together.
That's why I brought it up.
It's his whole book. That's the end of his book.
Oh, that's
Did you read the end of
his
it?
book.
Did you read the end of it?
I watch his weekly stuff.
The epilogue.
I know everything he says. I
So
know.
you know about Bin Nun? It sounds like a Bin Nun? He bases the whole end on Bin
Who's been
Nun.
on? Is this like
Bin Nun is a guy in Nancy Straw who's a biblical philosopher, psychologist, also. So
He once said that
he developed this idea.
he said Pari became Yosef's father figure.
Correct. That's the whole story. Because he
Because he
didn't
gave him
know.
clothing.
He didn't know.
They took off his son's past. Pari gave him a new
Yes.
clothes.
He
They put him into the pit. Pari took him out of it.
Right.
The whole.
Correct. That's his whole story.
Also, Yaakov didn't believe his dreams. Pari believed his
Yes,
dreams.
correct.
Wow.
You got it all. You got it all.
Yaakov, he gave him a new
You read the
name.
book or you
Son
just read
Panech.
it?
He gave him a wife.
Yes.
He gave him a
He
job.
did everything a father did.
He did everything the father was.
That was the battle between Pharaoh and Amon.
wow.
That was at the end of the story, bringing in Yaakov meeting Yosef and making him swear, all that, because he was going against his other father, which was Pharaoh. He wanted to see, is he more loyal to me or more loyal to Pharaoh? If
Wow.
he's more loyal to Pharaoh, then he lost him as a son. He had
Wow.
to prove himself to be more loyal to Yaakov. And that was the end of the story, where he went to Pharaoh. Pharaoh was outraged that he would take him and one of these and marry him there.
But he sent him long jackets.
Yes. But in the end,
So do you get the outfit stuff? I'll send you one.
what is that?
I'll send you a link. I don't know if you'll like it.
That's
I want to
Foreman?
show it to
That's
you.
Foreman?
It's fun.
Anyway. All right, look, actually, Yosef managed to make a connection despite made a chibur, despite being so far away. And that's the real test of loyalty. The real test of loyalty is when it's put to test. It's easy to be loyal and connected when everything's up close. It's the challenge is when it's from afar, right? And that's really what the Torah is saying over here. Zachartis, in middle of the Torah, Tochas not over here. Zachartis brisi Yaakov's brisi, and Yaakov with a vav, full vav in Yaakov's name is alluding to Yosef, which is a hemshech of Yaakov, like as it were, a lifeline from Yaakov down to the Shvatim. That lifeline that made it even. That lifeline that itself is called Yosom because it's in a matzav where it doesn't feel the connection of the Abba and Ima. Right? So the hard is with Yaakov because that's the real test of our chibur to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we're still bonded to Him no matter how bad things get, and He's still bonded to us no matter how bad we are. Right? And the Rambam in the Igeres Teman brings these psukim from Parshas Bechukosai. He invokes these psukim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu swore that no matter how bad things get, He'll never abandon us. Still connected, and that's why. The irony is, just Sefer Vayikra ends off with all these parts talking about Kerry, right? Teach you that the chibur will be even in a matzav where lefi maris ayin, the chibur has been broken. It's still there, secretively, right? And like we said, sometimes the greatest test of chibur, right, is dafka where and when. The situation seems the opposite of chibur. That shows the strength of the connection, right? And this explains the irony, right? That the chiburim of Torah Sheba'al Peh, right? Torah Sheba'al was composed by the Nevi'im, right? Right? Torah Sheba'al Peh was composed by the Chachamim, right? Now Nevi'im, okay, of course they feel the chibur to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They have nevuah, right? So they could write a book which is Milosh and Chibur, a composition. They write a Torah Shebachsav, which is a Chibur. Parallel to the fact they feel they're Chibur with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? Torah Sheba'al Peh. Right? The interesting thing is that the Chiburim of Torah Sheba'al Peh were dafka in Golus. Right? the Mishnah, the Gemara, right? The Rambam, the Zohar, when it was written and when it was officially, then when it was written. No, Talmud Rishon was also after the Churban, but
The Mishnah was written in Eretz Yisrael, wasn't it?
Eretz Yisrael, but after the Churban, right? After the Churban, right? And Ramchal writes about this in a letter, that sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give a revelation to the door. The door is not really roy, right? But nonetheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided, because they're my people, they're the Am HaNivchar. Stam, you know what? They don't deserve it, but they're my people. And he says about himself, V'hu Baruch Hu Bachar Bi. Just like, the Mishnah was mamash after Churban Bayis, and the Talmud Bavli with unbelievable chibur, even deeper in the Golas. V'hu Baruch Hu Bach, and there's the Ari, and then look, Bachar Bi, to keep the connection going. To show that, as bad as things get, it's only things are getting bad, only klape chutz, klape pnim, right? The chibur is still there. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu does that. There's an unbelievable chibur that's nischaber, right? Dafka in the depth of the Golos. Right? That's what the Zohar already said, that it's L'dorim Basroin. The Zohar is for the later generations that will really need it. And Ramchal says that's the Inyan of me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Boicher Bi, to give the unbelievable revelations that he was Megala. He was Megala, the Pnimius of the Zohar and the Ari. He says the Ari's just said the Moshel, I'm saying the Nimshal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Boicher Bi. What? Just to keep the connection going. Just to help bring Mashiach, despite the fact that the door is not on the level. Right? The Mezritcher Magid is saying his name. That's why it was the holy Stagis to Ramchal, because the or was so big that the door couldn't be soivel the or. The or was too big. So naturally, whatever you don't understand, whatever you can't comprehend, whatever you can't get your head around, you just push back. Well, that's what Ramchal is saying. That the Baruch Hu was Boicher Bo, because who Baruch Hu Bachar Bi, right? And that's the whole inyan of the Ramchal. The whole inyan of the Ramchal is that he made chiburim, right? He wrote books, but he wrote books in the highest form of the highest sense of the word, right? That he took every branch of knowledge that he analyzed and he put it together in the most proper, logical, sequential order that could be best understood, best be retained, best be memorized, right? He was able to make chibur out of disparate details, out of ideas that were just spreading far and wide, it will pull it all together. So that was his intellectual contribution, parallel to the inyan of his revelation. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu sometimes gives big giluyim to dafka lower generations to keep the connection going, because the strength of the connection is shown dafka by the distance between the two things connected, right? And that's the inyan, that the Ramchal's yard side is Yesod should be Yesod. Right? Every year. Chafva v'iyar, Yesod should be Yesod. Right? The Kaidu, the meat of Yesod is meat of Yosef HaTzadik. Right? And the meat of Yesod makes a chibur. Ki kol b'shamayim uva'aretz. That's the meat of Yesod. Kol ma'asecha, you l'shem shamayim, kol ma'asecha. That meat is Yosef. He pulls all the pieces together. Besod va'yesor Yosef es merkavto va'yal likras Yisrael aviv. He pulls all the pieces together. He binds all the pieces together and makes the chibur to Yaakov Avinu. Right? That's the end of the Baal Hilula tonight. Right? That even in a matzah door where it was Imkei Golis shortly after Shabtai Tzvi and that whole letdown, and Tach V'Tat and that whole letdown, then came the Ramchal and his Gilui to make the chibur mamish ba'omek hamatzav that we call keri, right? To make that chibur, and that's the whole of his Torah is all about making chiburim, pulling the pieces together, right? In the most logical and sequential order, you can see the beauty of the whole, right? That's the end of Bari Lula, and that it comes out on Yesod b'Yesod that even b'matzav of keri, it's still vayikra lo mi'astim lo galtim l'chalosim lo'afer brisa.
Oh, yeah.